So there's been some things talked about in the John case by John. Particularly, he had 2 clean tests on July 7th and July 8th before his positive test on, I think, July 30th, which was weigh-in day. And the positive test was for dihydrochloromethyltestosterone, or oral turinabol. This is a substance that was used by the East Germans regularly in the late 60s, and then came into the fold a little bit more of what's come out recently out of Russia. So I know you had Brian Fogel on for the Icarus movie. I think he talked about a little bit about this. Gregory, the head of the Moscow WADA laboratory, that this drug became kind of part of his protocol with his athletes. He then, ironically enough, developed a test for the long-term metabolites of the drug. So previous to that, the detection window of this drug was a couple of days. So it was a drug that, you know, even if you run a strict program, an athlete may gamble with taking because it had a quick clearance time. After he discovered the long-term metabolite test, that changed. It went from a detection window of a couple days to a detection window of several months. And this was widely known. You know, it wasn't a secret. Initially, they kept it quiet. They went back and retested some samples, and there was a whole, you know, bunch of positives. And then it got out 2013 around that there was this new test. So right up front, you know, I've said this a while now, would not make a lot of sense for an individual, a UFC athlete that knew, you know, especially, you know, a champion contender like John Jones that knew, hey, I'm tested quite regularly in this program, would not make a lot of sense that that would be your drug of choice if you were intentionally trying to cheat. I think it's come out after the fact that USADA did another test on John a month or two or a couple months after his positive test, and he was negative during that test. So that would be indicative that, you know, the prohibited system entered his system, or the prohibited substance entered his system, you know, sometime after July 7th or 8th, and was likely, you know, a pretty small amount, and that it cleared his system pretty quickly. Again, you know, who knows where it plays out, but certainly on the surface of things, I have said, you know, at this point in the game, with that type of information out there, it wouldn't indicate intentional use. Now, that could be wrong. I don't know that definitively, and we'll see how this plays out. Right now, where the process is John and USADA are working closely. I'm aware that there was a meeting a week or two ago, pretty lengthy meeting, which I was told was productive. I wasn't given details of what productive meant, but I think that's an important thing right now, and that John's following through with, is to retrace all of his steps between that, you know, last July 8th positive test or negative test, and the positive test on July 29th or July 30th.
I guess if Jones comes back and, you know, gets cleared, which apparently there's talk that he might be getting cleared, then DC and Jones would have to do it again for a third time, which would just be insane.
Why?
What do you think?
Well, where'd you hear that there's talk about him getting cleared? I didn't hear that.
Well, no. I mean, USADA are looking into it, and it's an ongoing investigation. I can't give you a hard and fast update exactly, but I was speaking to Jeff Nowitzki about it a while ago, and there's a few lines of inquiry that they're going down, the testing supplements, they're doing all kinds of stuff. So, you know, I mean, listen, there's no smoke without fire, and of course, everybody uses the tainted supplement as the defense. But they're trying, and if they're trying, you never know, they might find something. They might find a loophole. They might find a technicality, you know, who knows? But they're certainly trying, and they're spending a lot of money on testing all these supplements and whatnot. So I think basically when people are doing that, they're just looking for a technical way to get out of it. Yeah, they're looking for a good excuse. Yeah, you know what I mean?
They're going to end up
They're looking for a plausible reason where they can say, okay, well, you've been suspended for this amount already, 3 months and you're back. So, I mean, if that comes out, if that happens, I think it's kind of makes the whole testing process kind of a joke, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think it's kind of shady. I don't know. It's kind of weird. You know, I think John Jones is a cheat.
You should be able to say straight away, I was taking this, test that. If it's not in that, then you're guilty. If it is in that, you know, then maybe you can have a discussion. I don't think, you know, they can spend a year testing every supplement on the market and trying to find something, and then you can say I was taking that.